Hey everyone, I'm Molly Fitzpatrick. I'm the Boulder County Clerk and Recorder, and we are in the middle of election season, which means we are doing lots and lots of public ballot processing tours. We do this every year to help show the public how your ballot is processed from end to end. And so we're so excited to have such high participation so people can understand this process and ask questions and get any concerns that they have answered as well. This is the first floor of our ballot processing center. What we're going to do today is go through really identity verification. Once your identity has been verified, we will move your ballot upstairs for processing. But down here is where the ballots come in from the post office or from the 24-hour ballot drop boxes or mail ballots that were dropped in at a vote center. So the majority of people in Boulder County do use those secure 24-hour ballot drop boxes. Those are ballot drop boxes that are emptied and collected by bipartisan teams. They are under 24-hour video surveillance, and they are securely mounted and attached to the ground. We have well over 80% of people choose to use that method of return, and it's direct to our office, which is great. Roughly 10-ish% use USPS, and then vote center usage kind of depends on the year. In a smaller election like this, not as much. In bigger elections, we do have higher usage of our vote centers. In fact, one of our vote centers here in Boulder County is the most heavily used vote center in the entire state. So that's something that we're very proud of because we still maintain a really great wait time for that vote center. So as you'll notice, we have to have secure badge to get into this door, into this door. These doors will also start alarming if they're left open for too long, so we'll keep moving. All right, so again, this part of the floor is where identity is verified. So the ballot is always in its envelope when it's on this part of the process. So the ballots are brought in. We store the ballots in the cages if we're not ready to process them yet, or if we're ready to go, we go ahead and bring all the boxes over and we get an estimated piece count. And so that's what that scale is. It's basically just saying roughly this many ballots came from this box. And that's helpful for a couple reasons. One, it helps us with workflow. So if we're getting like tons of ballots back, we know, hey guys, you may need to stay later, or just workflow purposes. And it's also helpful because if we're consistently getting a really heavy box back from like Lafayette, we might want to look at, okay, do we need to add another drop box in Lafayette? So that's what they're doing. That's really the first step of the process. But to take one step back, you can think about the security of this facility. So we had to have badges to get in. We have cameras. That's what those little button kind of things are. And those are recording 24/7. We have locked cages, and we actually have like a cage within a cage back here to store secure voting equipment. You do have to have credentials to get into the building and to get throughout the building. We look at the badge access regularly, and we remove access whenever we can to make sure that only you're getting into the areas that you need to. And as an example, I can't even get into multiple parts of our processing center without an escort. So security is really important to our operation. So the ballots are emptied onto this table right here, and they're organized. So we organize them based on a couple different things. One, we're looking for anything that is not a Boulder County ballot. And so in Colorado, you can return your ballot to any drop box in the state, and we will get it to the right place. So we're looking for, in Boulder County, you can imagine, we get a lot of Weld County ballots. So we will take those ballots out and get them to Weld County. Also looking for anything that's not a ballot. So sometimes people return parking tickets or like municipal things. Like we'll get, just anything that can't be scanned or run through our equipment. So this is our sorter and signature capture machine. And so we will run all the ballots through this machine. And what it's doing is it's capturing an image of the voter's signature. And so in Boulder County, every single signature on an envelope is reviewed by a human. So that's the first thing that it's doing. There's a camera on that machine, and it's getting an image of the signature, and it's pushing it over to these judges. And it's telling the judges, look at this signature. So these are Republicans and Democrats, and they are looking at each voter's signature. and they are using the training that we provide, that the Secretary's office provides, and that law enforcement officials have contributed on our training as well, and they're looking to see if they can make a match. If they can make a match, great. Your signature and your ballot envelope is moved forward to our second floor, where it can be removed from its envelope and processed. So if the judge is not able to make a match, it gets escalated. And what that means is that it gets escalated to a team of 2. And so the Republican and Democrat look at your signature together, and they actually will have access to even more of your signatures on file to see if we can make a match. You're absolutely right that there's sometimes aging changes your signature, or a young voter might be figuring out how they want to sign things. Like, there's a lot of different things that can come into play. Right. It's different. So what happens is if that team cannot make a match, they get put in a temporary rejected status. It's temporary, but we will send them a notification of, hey, we could not make a match of your signature. Can you respond to this and let us know that it was you? So
how do you know who they are?
they will send us a copy of their ID and sign that was me. Yeah. And so once they sign that and tell us that was them, then we will move their ballot forward for processing. But until we get confirmation that they voted that ballot, it is held here and not move forward. Okay, so this is the second floor. So at this point in the process, this is when your ballot is actually removed from its envelope. So we'll go through all the different steps that it goes through here. So if you guys want to just follow me. This is why we love it when people vote early, because this place is pretty small. So the more time we have to process ballots, the better. We get slammed on election day. You can see we don't have all the space in the world to process ballots. So that's why early voting is so important. So this equipment on that side of the wall, that's our extraction equipment. And so what it's doing is we have these operators who are running the equipment, and it's slicing open the top of the envelope. That's so we don't have to manually open each envelope. So it's getting a slice. So we can walk over here and you can actually see it in action. Okay, so kind of bunch in. So these tables are all doing the same thing. We call these our dealer tables because you can see we have one person kind of acting as the dealer. And so what that person is doing is removing the ballot from its envelope and handing it to our election judges. You can see that the way they are removing the envelope, the voter's information, is face down. So no one can see whose ballot and their choices associated with, what their name is and that sort of thing. So they're handing it to teams of judges, and what those judges are doing is they're flattening the ballots. They're flattening the ballots because they've been folded up in that ballot envelope, and we need to be able to run those ballots through our scanning equipment. So that's what they're doing. The other thing that they're doing is they're looking for anything. See, there's the vacuum cleaner. Paper dust. They are looking for anything that might impact the scanning process. Okay, so the other thing that these folks are doing is they're looking for anything that would impact the scanning process or hurt our equipment. So if there's a tear and a bunch of tape around the ballot, super appreciate all the initiative, and we still can't run that through our scanning equipment. Or anything that, like dirty food stain, that sort of thing. So if we see a ballot that can't be run through the scanner, we're still going to make sure that your vote counts. And so in that instance, what will happen is a Republican and a Democrat will take your dirty or stained ballot, and they will work together to duplicate the choices that you made onto a ballot that can be read through the scanning equipment. Both ballots are maintained as election records for 25 months. So this is our scan room. This is where our voting equipment is stored. So we do have the Dominion, now Liberty Vote, voting equipment. It is under, it's again behind locked doors. You have to have badged entry to get in. Everyone in our environment is background checked. It is not connected to the internet. Nothing in this room is connected to the internet. It's an air-gapped system. So we maintain control of our voting system. We test it before each election. We audit it after each election. It is an accurate system. So that's what this room is. We don't have anyone here right now because these folks have to finish their work, and then our scanners will come in to scan those ballots. So we'll keep moving this way. There's another room that we want to show you guys. So these monitors over here, this is our adjudication room. And so if you, let's just say, no one in this room, I know everyone fills out their ballots perfectly. Absolutely. But yeah, 100%, no, everyone follows instructions. But let's say you're a person that doesn't follow instructions and you like circle or check mark or something like that. Your ballot, our scanning equipment will say, I'd like to have humans look at this because I don't, the bubble wasn't filled in. Correct. So it'll get kicked out over here to bipartisan teams of judges, and they're looking at that ballot together to make it a determination, how did this person intend to vote? So once it gets to election night, and the ballots are started, we've scanned them, we tell the voting system, download a report. So this is not connected to the internet. So what we do is we have a clean, secure USB thumb drive, and we say download the report onto this thumb drive. That thumb drive then is walked over here and plugged into a computer that is connected to the internet, and that's where we upload the election results.
I love this tour because I've taken it a few times, and I've also observed as a poll watcher in other elections, and it always makes me feel confident about our democratic processes and how our ballot processing center works. So to me, this is democracy in action.
Me encantó. Es uno que aprende un poco más el proceso. Yo he sido judge para las votaciones y es interesante que nos damos cuenta cómo lo hacen, cómo es el proceso y todo el trabajo que esta gente está haciendo para nosotros que se están representando. Es muy importante y todos tenemos que aprovechar y hacer algo así, para aprender y ayudar.